So as of right now, we are live. Tony?
Live where?
At the, I about said the Good News Ministry studios. At Axe Media Group headquarters here in the beautiful Springfield, Missouri. And this is the new gold standard with Tony Hammock. Oh, wait a second. I got a view over there. All right, we're going to have to do that again. Hey, everybody. I'm Matt. This is Tony. He's your host. This is the gold standard. Tony, take it away.
Good morning, everybody. Are we live on YouTube, Facebook?
And Facebook, and
wow.
AxeRadio.com.
Wow,
Oh.
we are overachievers here.
Always.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's good to be back, and I'm excited about today's show. I've got a special guest that I'm going to introduce here in just a minute and so forth. It's first off, let me just start out with a quick thanks to Jim and Pam and Dr. Paul for allowing us to have a show here on Wednesday mornings. I think we're into about our fifth show since I came back, and I got to tell you, of the 5 so far, this one I think is going to be really, really neat for everybody and stuff. I'm a true believer in things happen for a reason, and there's God things that happen, and I actually met this person who's going to be on the show here with us yesterday, but she was full of information. Some of it I found just very intriguing and stuff. And impulsively, I asked her, I said, hey, can you be on my radio show tomorrow? And so with us from Billings, Montana, I have Pastor Sharon Volz. Sharon, are you with us?
Yes, I sure am, Tony. Thank you so much for allowing me to be with you today.
Oh, I think we're going to have a lot of fun and stuff like that. Sharon is up there in Montana, and she's got her own ministry, and part of that is she's helping a lot of folks, take care of their families and take care of themselves and all this kind of stuff. And rather than me steal any thunder or something like that, Sharon, do you want to give just a kind of a quick background or bio on yourself so everybody knows, how special it is to get you on this show?
Well, actually, I've been in ministry since about I was 28. I'm 74 today. But 2.5 years ago, I found myself in a kind of a desperate place because having been in ministry, my Social Security was not much help in meeting the needs, and Medicare was going up, and I just was in a desperate place when a couple in my church came to me and said, we'd like to mentor you in a business. And I just said, no, I've never done a business. I've only worked for a W-2, and I definitely can't do sales. And they said, this is a team effort, and we can either give you a fish or we can teach you to fish.
I love it.
And so they kind of had me there. I said, well, let me pray about it, because I knew I'd affect, a lot of people. And with my heart being ministry, I sure didn't want to do anything to bring any hurt, harm, or damage to the people that I love and care about. First and foremost, my family, and then, my church family. And so, anyway, that week I was just reading. I wasn't doing a word search. I wasn't trying to, prove a point or anything. I was just minding my own business. And I came to Genesis 42, where Jacob told the 10 sons to go to Egypt and to buy grain because there was a famine in the land. And that word grain in Hebrew, one of the meanings is necessities. So what I saw in that was they were going to have to obey an instruction. They were going to have to go somewhere they'd not been before. They were going to have to get out of their comfort zone, and they were going to have to put out a little money. But they obeyed all of that, and we know the rest of the story. On the way home, they opened their sacks, and their money's in the top of their sacks. And it was like the Lord said, yes, you need to make an investment, but you'll get your money back. Well, then a couple days later, I'm just randomly reading, and I'm in Proverbs 11:26, and it says, the people will curse him who withholds grain, but the blessing will be on the head of him who sells it. And it's like, okay, Lord, I get the point. I need to step out and jump into this business, and I am so glad I did, because it has released finances to 3 generations of my family, to widows within our church, to our 501c3, and to just a lot of people that I have been able to meet in the last 2.5 years. So that's kind of it in a nutshell, Tony.
Well, and don't let Sharon fool you. She says she was not a salesperson, and I got to tell you, yesterday I was overwhelmed with her salesmanship. She was very, very good, and she didn't really need to be. I mean, it was kind of one of those things. I've been on a quest, and I've been praying about this because, as those of you that have been tuning in now for the last 5 or 6 weeks, you know that we call the show the New Gold Standard, and because of some of the transactions and experiences that I had with Jim Whining, you know, we thought we'd get the show going talking about some of the alternative assets out there, and some that may be very timely depending on what happens here in the near and not too distant future as far as, you know, the geopolitical climate and stuff. And so, you know, I've got programs for, you know, the billionaires. I've got programs for the millionaires. But I've been looking for a program for, you know, for people like me. I mean, you know, people that, you know, are taking care of their families and, you know, they're not on the nightly news and so forth. And, you know, maybe $100 a month is going to be a stretch, that kind of stuff. So, and I had one that I was just about ready to go with because they did have some features I liked, but there was just something inside me that that was keeping me from pulling the trigger. I don't know if you've ever had that kind of a feeling where you know, were getting close to doing something, but there was a little voice or something saying, wait a minute. And then yesterday, a good friend of mine that I've known now for 4 or 5 years, he called me out of the blue, and he and I got to talking, and one thing led to another, and you know, I said, well, hey, send me some information on this outfit. And about 15 minutes later, I get an email from him, and part of the email not only was information on this company, but was Sharon's contact info. And so I reached out to her, and I don't know, I think she and I, what did we have, 2, 3 phone calls yesterday?
Yes, sir.
And, you know, she just has a real nice...
What's her last name?
Voltz. It's V as in Victor, O-L-T-Z. And
It's kind of shocking.
The company that she works for that you're talking about today?
well, that's just it. It's called 7K Metals.
7K Metals?
Yes, sir.
Like the number 7 or the word 7?
The number 7. In fact, if you want to put my website up there, my brand spanking new website for 7K Metals, it is www.7kmetals.com.
All right, hold on just a second here. I'm going to get her name up there on the screen real
Okay.
quick.
So Sharon Voltz.
Sharon Voltz, 7K Metals.
7K Metals.
Now, your website... Oh, what am I doing? I can't work today for some reason.
I don't know how much caffeine he had, if he had any, but
Not enough.
Matt's not.
And you are Tony Hammock.
Yes, nice to meet you. At least we're having fun, huh?
Yeah, oh yeah, you got to have fun with this stuff. And what is the your website? It's 7K Metals, right? The number 7?
Yes. So www.7kmetals, metals.com, and
/
Tony Hammock. So TonyHammock. And, you know, after we finish with our talk with Sharon, if anybody would like to contact Sharon directly, let me know. Send me an email at tony@thegoldaffiliate.com, and I'll put everybody in contact with one another and stuff like that, because I think as we go on with the next few minutes and stuff, as you can tell, she's very well versed on quotes from the Bible and how it relates to trying to work with these precious metals and stuff. And you know, yesterday, Sharon, you had some things that just I thought I was amazed with and stuff like that. I don't know. You said you were doing a study course. Do you remember mentioning that to me?
Uh-huh.
What is that course?
I'm not sure which one we were talking about. We talked about several, but is that as far as my ministry or as far as the...
I think it was the studying the Hebrew in the Bible. It seems like sticks in my memory.
Right. Yeah. We have a Hebrew Bible college here in Billings that's connected to a ministry out of Denver, Colorado, and basically what we have linked up with this ministry and our teaching is the Hebrew roots to the Christian faith. And what I missed in the church for 35 years was the connection between Genesis 1:1 to the end of Revelation. I didn't see how it all fit together. And when we come into the Hebrew language is such a rich language. It takes 6 or 8 English words to explain one Hebrew word. Like I shared with you, that one word, grain, it means more than one thing, but one of the things it does mean is necessities. And I needed the necessities of my life to be met. And so for the last 12 years, that's what I've been focused on in ministry is learning the Hebrew roots of my Christian faith and then sharing it with others.
So back to 7K Metals. How long have you been with them?
I've been with them since 2 years ago, February, so I'm closing in on my 3rd year here. And it's life-changing. It is just absolutely life-changing. You know, the Lord promised us in Malachi 3:10 that if we would bring all the tithes into the storehouse and prove him herewith, he'd open the windows of heaven and pour us out a blessing that we could not contain it. And I honestly tithed from the time I gave my heart to the Lord at 28, but I never saw those windows opened. My needs were always met. God sent me to many different nations to preach the gospel, to share the love of Christ, and so my needs were always met, but there was never the windows of heaven being opened and abundance being poured out until I came into 7K Metals. And I believe part of that was God's timing. God's word is true. It's going to be fulfilled, but where we get hung up on is in the timing of it. And one of the men that is one of the co-founders with 7K Metals, his name is Richard Wayne Hansen, and he prayed for over 20 years that God would give him a company where the average person could make above average income. And I am living proof of the fulfillment of that prayer in his life, as well as many, many others in the last 3 years that the company's been out there.
Well, I know yesterday you shared with me some, I guess we could call them success stories, just little experiences. And I know we want to keep different things confidential and all that kind of stuff, but do you have one or two that you can share with us as far as people whose lives you've touched with this? Oh,
yes. Well, my pastor, for one, who happens to also be my brother-in-law, when I started telling him what I was praying about as far as 7K, he's a silversmith. His family business has been in making lots of things out of Montana moss agates for years. And so he had access to silver at wholesale. And so one of the things that we do with 7K Metals is we buy one MS-70 collector's coin a month, and that's the only product that has a slight markup. And he said, why would I do that? I can go online and I can buy that same coin for cheaper somewhere else. And I said, well, let me ask you, would you invest once a month and buy that coin every month? Or would you forget to do it? Would it become a habit where this company helps you with their autosaver program to automatically do that once a month without even thinking about it? It comes to your mailbox or your post office box. Secondly, would you be helping anybody besides yourself? You know, Scripture says, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And then I said, would that other company pay you for buying that coin once a month from them? Well, when I got done asking those 3 questions, he said, okay. And so as pastor, he signed up. He signed his wife, my sister, up. And the income that they have received has allowed them to purchase a home. And then as we shared it with people within the community, widows that were just trying to eke it out like I was from month to month are now able to receive $500 checks, and it's transforming our whole community. The individual lives have been improved, the tithes have been improved, so the 501c3 financially has been improved, and it's really just a win-win. It's the law of leverage being fulfilled in our lives, where you take a lot of people who do a little bit to help a whole bunch, and you just can't outgive God. I don't know how else to say it.
Well, I've learned in my life, you got to be very careful what you pray for, because you just might get it. I mean, I can remember back many years ago, I was praying for patience, and yeah. And then the next couple of days, I was stuck in traffic, and I was waiting for the doctor. I mean, it was just like one of these, and all of a sudden it dawned on me, oh my goodness, I got patience, because I was having to deal with that. And when I was younger, I had a friend that just really wanted a Ford Mustang, and he prayed and prayed for the Ford Mustang, and he never got one. And then years later, he ends up meeting this young lady, and they ended up getting married, and guess what she drove? A Ford Mustang. So God works in interesting ways sometimes, and from that experience, I've learned just to be very careful on how I word things and stuff. But, speaking of wording things, yesterday you talked a little bit about how churches or ministries could benefit by being involved in this program, this K7 Metals. Do you think you can go into that just briefly? And by the way, folks, some of you I know are very experienced with some of this language, and some of you maybe aren't so much, and that's okay. We're kind of here to help everybody learn a little bit each show and stuff like that. When she's talking about the 501c3, that's just the internal revenue code for charitable organizations, which a church or a congregation would fall under and stuff. So, but is that something you're okay, Sharon?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, in the ministry that I have been in, like I said, for 28 years, I went to many nations, and I also went to many, many states in different denominations, and a lot of the little out-of-the-way churches. And the majority of them struggled financially. What 7K Metals can do for that organization is they can come in, and as they earn the cycle checks, those are tax-free. And that money can go for utilities, that money can go for the rent, it can go to help mission programs. It's a phenomenal way to really get an ongoing GoFundMe account that residually every month continues to pay, but you're not asking people to continue to give to you every month. They are, in fact, buying an asset that they can put in their own pocket, that they can then build up an inheritance for their children's children, as the scriptures tell us to do. And prior to 7K Metals, I had no inheritance. I jokingly would tell my kids I can't afford to die. If that happens, you're going to have to get up to Montana, throw me in the back of the truck, and get me to Texas and plant me, And they'd go, Mom. But it was just the fact. I didn't have any retirement. And now I can say, after 2.5 years, that's taken care of. It's not a burden anymore. So when you multiply that for people within a church, and you've got people facing medical needs that are stripping their income, you've got people that are on Social Security that it's not meeting the needs, you've got young families, you've got single moms, on and on. This company can help people from 18. I have somebody 88 in my organization, and it's just rewarding to see what it's doing for so many age groups.
Well, and I think part of that is and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's basically that systematic replacement of fiat currency, with gold and silver, and.
Yes.
I mean, here again, for some of you listeners that maybe, don't listen every week, I think it was last week or the week before we were talking about the definition of fiat currency. which just basically means there's nothing backing it up. You know, when President Nixon took us off the gold standard back in 1971, all of a sudden the U.S. dollar, you know, was no longer backed by gold. So basically, that's kind of what's happened is over the last, you know, 40, 50 years, we've seen the Treasury just, you know, print money like it's going out of style. And whereas gold and silver, you know, have maintained their purchasing power. In fact, I don't know if I can articulate this one little thing as well as I'd like. So Sharon, I'm glad you're on the phone because you can probably get me back on track. But yesterday she sent me a video, and it was one of those weird things because I kind of knew, you know, we had a nice exchange, and I like some of the things that she shared with me and stuff. But she sent me this video, and it was very informative, but it got into this one example. And this may be kind of a off in the weeds type of example, but it was kind of like going back to 1965. And some of you weren't even born in 65. I was, and I can remember how popular the Ford Mustang was. And actually the 1964 and a half Ford Mustang was the first one. But, you know, a lot of people don't remember how much it cost. And since we're not all in the same room, and I would ask for a show of hands and, you know, all that kind of stuff, I won't do that. But I can tell you that it cost $2,500 back in 1965. Now, if you'd had 2,500 $1 bills or $2,500 in, I can't remember, did they use silver or gold?
Yes, the 1 ounce silver coins.
So $2,500 in 1 ounce silver coins, and you bought the car, you would have had it all these years and so forth. And, you know, I mean, I'm sure that if a 65 Mustang has been well taken care of and stuff, it's probably worth more than $2,500 now, because it's a collector's item. But the point is that the $2,500 that was in the 1 ounce silver coins in value has gone up enough to where you could probably buy 2 Mustangs today. I mean, you know, that's, I think, pretty impressive. I mean, you're gone from buying one back in 65 to where now in 2019, that's maintained its purchasing power and allowed, you know, I mean, if somebody wanted to pursue this, to get 2 Mustangs. Whereas on the other hand, the $2,500 in $1 bills could probably barely pay for a new set of tires on that
Right.
Ford Mustang. I don't know if that makes sense. Matt, what do you think? Did that make sense?
Yeah. Stuff is way more expensive now than what it used to be.
Well, and speaking of things being expensive, this sounds like a real good time to put in a plug for
NaturalSolutionStore.bz. Right? Is that what you were talking about?
Yes, sir.
We'll have Jay cue me up over there because it's about. Oh wait, no, you can't. You can't pull me up over there. The camera's not here. Anyways, sorry, I'm off today. So good morning, everybody. Thank you, Tony, for throwing me a through loop like that. Today's show is brought to you by NaturalSolutionStore.bz. And the product I've been talking about today is a product called Mellow Up. Now, it is a de-stressor in a vegetable capsule. It's a 30-count bottle. It contains 3 different herbs as well as 30 milligrams of phytocannabinoids, complex powder per capsule. So what this stuff does, Tony, and I haven't taken any of this today, it's a de-stressor. It's a formulation that was created to provide the perfect blend of ingredients to increase your mental performance, promote positive mood, and increase natural well-being. There are 3 different products in it, 3 different herbs in it. Ashwagandha, which is a really fun one to say. And that helps with things like blood sugar levels and help to reduce cortisol. Also, brain function helps to pep that up a little bit. There's 2 other ones, and for some reason I'm having a hard time finding them. Anyways, go online. All the information is online on NaturalSolutionStore.bz, and get yourself a bottle of Mellow Up today.
Thank you, Matt. You know, I was listening to Matt and stuff, Sharon, I was thinking of that. You sent me a couple of videos yesterday. And by the way, for those of you that just tuned in on the phone with us today, I've got Sharon Volz from Billings, Montana. And Sharon is a pastor up there. She's been in the ministry for how long?
Well, 40-plus years.
40 plus. She keeps saying she's 74, like, you know, she's over the hill or something. And then yesterday I told her after about the third time, I said, stop it. You're just a pup. You know, I mean, my gosh, down here you'd be like the 74 is the new teenager down here in Missouri. But anyway, she sent me a couple videos, and one of the videos I really got a kick out of. And I'll start this, Sharon, and I'm going to turn it over to you to kind of finish up and stuff. But it was just a little 3-minute video, and it was this young guy on the street. I don't know what town he was in, but he had a microphone, and obviously somebody was filming him. And the first two people he encountered, he had a silver coin, or no, he actually had a silver bar and a Hershey's bar. And he asked the first young lady, he said, okay, here's I think it was like a 10-ounce silver bar versus one of the big Hershey bars. Which would you take? I'm offering them both to you. Which one do you want? And she took the Hershey bar. And then he gave the same choice to another gentleman, and then the gentleman took the Hershey bar and stuff. And then when it gets into the gold coins, do you want to take it from there, Sharon?
Yeah, he had a 1-ounce gold coin, and he was, again, trying to get somebody to decide whether they wanted the 1-ounce gold coin or the Hershey bar. And they all went for the Hershey bar. And I think part of the problem is we've not been educated on gold and silver, and I think in their minds they were thinking it was fake. I don't like chocolate, so I probably would have gone for the coin and could have cared less if it turned out to be genuine or not, just because I don't care for chocolate. But at any rate, they just refused to even take it, and they said, well, we can't eat gold. We can at least eat the chocolate bar. And he takes that coin and he goes into the coin shop that's right there where he offered to the guy, the one guy. He said, we can go in that coin shop right now and, prove that it's real. And he said, no, I'll just take the Hershey bar. And so he goes in there and he gets $1,600 and some dollars for that one coin.
$1,634.79 for that.
And see, I knew nothing about gold or silver when I came into this. I just wanted to pay my bills. But, gold has been mentioned over 400 and some times in the Bible, and silver over 300 and some times. It's God's currency. And our fiat dollar bill today is worth less than I think in 2013 it was worth 5 cents, so it's probably only 4 cents or maybe 3 today. And so we've got to start getting wisdom here and start investing in real money, which is gold or silver.
No, I would agree. I know our time together is almost over, Sharon. Is there anything in particular that you kind of wanted to share with the audience that maybe I didn't ask about?
Well, you mentioned that I am a salesman. What I am is somebody that believes in what I'm doing. I'm seeing the proof of the people that it's helping. And so all I'm really doing is telling my story. I'm the lady that didn't have to go to work at Walmart as a greeter because my finances weren't making it at 72. I'm somebody that doesn't have to depend on my children to take up a collection to get Mom to come home for the holidays. I'm somebody that's helping 3 generations right now earn a residual income every month. And I want everybody to know that that's available to them. And we'll have to get out of our comfort zone, and there's a little bit of an investment, and we might have to do something we've never done before, but if we want our circumstances to change and those that we love to change, we've got to do something different, and this 7K Metals was the different thing I needed to do.
Well, and you know what I hear through all that is at least to me, is dignity. It sounds like, you or anybody that would follow your lead, at this stage of life, is able to do it with a lot of dignity as compared to depending on the kids or depending on, the handouts of others or something like that. And that's a big thing. I mean, for those of you that have tuned in for a while, you know that, for the last 3 years I've been taking care of my dad. He's 89 now. He had his birthday earlier this month, and he was a saver. and so that has definitely helped out and so forth. But I just taking him to and from doctors and nursing homes and skilled nursing and this and that. I've had quite an education in the last 3 years, and it just seems like there's just so many folks as they get older that aren't allowed to maintain that level of dignity for whatever reason. The other thing, hey, real quick, that I wanted to kind of segue into and just kind of maybe finish up on is earlier Sharon mentioned a little bit about the automatic plan they've got, where if you're on it, you're going to get a coin a month, and she mentioned that that was the only part of the program where there was a markup. And I wanted to, kind of loop back to one of the first things I said as far as my struggles with, praying and looking for a company for this part of my business. And, the other company that I almost went with doesn't offer this particular feature, but one of the things that really, really intrigued me about 7K Metals was once you're a preferred customer, or if you've decided to share the program with others, what does the pricing look like then, Sharon?
Well, then you get to buy gold or silver, one coin or thousands of dollars worth at dealer direct cost. In other words, whatever 7K Metals buys it from the mint for, that's what they sell it to us for. There's no markup on that.
And I can tell you yesterday, after the first conversation she and I had, I was going to their website and their little store, and I was looking at some of the different offerings. And, I mean, some of them are like, I think there was one, it was a container with, I want to say 500 silver dollars in it. And
Monster box.
Yeah, the monster box. And, I would have my calculator, and, I know what the spot price is for silver and gold, and, I'm kind of doing the math. And I got to tell you, I was real impressed. I mean, remember, the spot price is changing sometimes every minute. But, and we'll get into that here in a moment when I do my little housekeeping after we've let Sharon get on with her morning and stuff. But I got to tell you, the prices were very, very close to, I mean, with all the research I've done, this was the best pricing I've seen on gold and silver. And I'm not talking, the monster box. I mean, if you wanted to buy one gold or one silver coin, even those prices were, priced very, very well as compared to some of the ones I've seen out there. So that's mainly what kind of drew me to 7K Metals. Was I just saw that as a neat way for somebody to, get involved, and then depending on their objective and their wherewithal and goals and stuff like that, be able to take advantage of the pricing to better their situation and their family situation, and as Sharon said, maybe for generations and stuff. Sharon, I got to tell you, I'm gonna say thank you so much. I am so grateful that on such short notice you agreed to be on the show. And once again, this is Sharon Volz up there, and she's in Montana. And I just have really enjoyed you being on the show this morning. Anything you want to say in closing?
No, just that I'm very appreciative for you, Tony, and allowing me to share the good news out there so that others can, have an opportunity to financially change their life. So thank you.
Yeah, and I'll holler at you later if that's okay.
You bet.
Okay.
You bet.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Sorry, I know I got up in the middle of your phone call there. I had to get up. It was getting a little hot. I had to take my coat off.
Oh, no worries.
But
you okay?
oh yeah, I get really hot really easy.
Are you having hot flashes?
I think I'm on menopause.
Oh
wait, we're still on the air. Hi everybody.
Oh goodness.
This is one of my new shirts, Tony.
I like it.
Men's Warehouse.
I do.
In the tie. That I was telling Jay this one. I'm pretty excited about it because I've never been there before. I've never actually had someone say, "Hey, try this on," except for my parents when I was a kid. And it was a good experience. Now, where do you get your fancy clothes at?
my wife surprises me every once in a while with a new tie or a new shirt, something like that. I like Ben Killingsworth and Bob over there at Bob Lowe over there at Town and County. Over the years, they have been very, very good to me as far as having the right selection and all those little tips and all that kind of stuff. So,
And I got to thank Jay, my compadre, my brother in arms over there. He taught me how to tie a full Windsor.
there you go.
It looks way better than a half Windsor. I've always done half Windsors, and the guitar tie clip and all that. Go out there, check it out. It's a lot of fun. They're not a sponsor, but
They should be.
You know, I always hated dressing up because it just takes so much. What?
Well, let's do some housekeeping, if that's okay.
Go for it.
Let's start with Bitcoin. You know, throughout the last 5 weeks, Bitcoin's kind of surfaced one or two times in different shows and conversations and stuff. And if you're into Bitcoin or have been thinking about Bitcoin, right now there is a neat buying opportunity. For whatever reason, in the last 2 days, there's been a substantial drop in the price of Bitcoin. Right now, it's $8,391 a piece. It's down another 11.67% for the day. And, you know, people don't know if that's because of this arrangement that the Treasury Department has come up with these repos where, you know, they're basically trying to get some cash back in the system with the banks and so forth, or what. But there's enough people out there that think that Bitcoin, you know, somewhere in the future, next year, 5 years from now, whatever, will be substantially higher. So if you've been on the fence, it might be something to think about. And the price is much better today than it was last week. So that's my little update on Bitcoin. As far as the other things that we normally talk about, there we go. The spot price for gold right now is $15.23. And
That's $1,523 per ounce.
per ounce. Silver is $18.50 an ounce. Platinum is $937. Palladium is $1,641 an ounce. And rhodium, I like doing that for some reason. Rhodium is $5,300 an ounce.
Boy, that's there are not many people. What is rhodium? What is rhodium used to make?
You know, I'm going to have to look it up.
It's not used to make roads, is it?
No,
Oh,
no.
okay.
I think it has something to do with catalytic converters.
I always thought that was platinum oxide.
Well, there's several precious metals in catalytic
That's
converters.
why people are cutting
Yes.
them off, and they clean them out and they sell the insides of them.
Well, and that's so funny because back right before college started in August, our 18-year-old and we were doing this, and he was like, "Wow, what's this?" You know, and I said, "Well, I think it's catalytic converters." And he looked it up on his phone with Google real quick, and he's like, "Yeah." And then, you know, he and I joked that we should go around and, you know, try and find catalytic converters, and that was one of our funny conversations. And I kid you not, like 2 weeks ago, there was an article about somebody it was up in the Northeast, or it actually may have been in like Toronto or someplace, but somewhere up there. And the person got arrested. They had 60 catalytic converters.
That's a lot of money.
Well, the question I have is, once you get a catalytic converter, in order to extract those precious metals, where do you take it?
Well, you
A
take
junkyard?
scrap yards will take them
Yeah?
and give you a fair bit for them.
I don't think anymore. I think they look at you sideways and ask some big questions.
Yeah, they like ask with the car, you know.
You pull up with...
They don't even. They just say sorry. You can't touch it.
Yeah, but if you bring in the guts of them, I think that's something different. I don't know where you would go for that. I know we had people cutting them off out where I work.
Well, and so these next prices, and these are by pound now. We switched from ounces to pounds. Copper is $2.59. Nickel, $7.88. Aluminum, 78 cents. Zinc, $1.04. Lead, 94 cents. And uranium is $25.30 a pound.
Oh, wow. So if you're ever into making, you know, anything nuclear, Uranium is your bet.
It'd be like, I wonder who would show up on your doorstep if you went to Amazon and ordered a couple of
60
cases
cat-
of uranium.
I'm just saying, 60 catalytic converters, man.
They don't, you can't get possession of that,
The uranium?
though. Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
Oh, I mean, you probably can if you know Hillary Clinton.
Oil is...
It's another show for another day. Sorry. Just
yeah,
kidding.
yeah, that's a whole other can of worms. Okay, so crude oil, $55.87 a barrel, and then all the indexes and stuff. The Dow right now is 26,843. It's up 36 points.
Okay, so
today.
what is Dow exactly? Is it a chemical company?
No, well, yes and no. There is a chemical company called Dow Chemical. The Dow,
That makes your household cleaners and stuff.
some of them. The Dow I was referring to is the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which is supposedly the top 30 stocks in our economy, and it's just kind of a barometer that a lot of people use to look at, how good the economy's doing.
Yeah, because didn't it spike after President Trump got into office?
It went on quite a run, and some of that was his, his tax plan he was going to introduce, and then did introduce and stuff. So it's been kind of interesting ever since Trump took over. But anyway, that's kind of the that part of the housekeeping that I wanted to go through. Let me see, what else do I have up there? Oh, my buddy. I mentioned this one, and this isn't really someplace that a lot of people would probably go, but Egon von Greyerz is got a new article out called "The Strong Autumn Rally in Silver and Gold," and probably the way I should do that one is if anybody would like to watch this video, email me at tony@thegoldaffiliate.com, and I will send you the link. Or if we can figure out a different way to do that. But anyway, it's quite an interesting interview. The one thing he did mention, which was kind of interesting to me, is they were talking about, I guess in 1980, gold got up to like $850 an ounce. And then the gentleman that's interviewing him on this video, they talk a little bit about adjusted for inflation. What would that be? And that would be $17,000. So with gold at 15, what did I say, 35 a little while ago, you can see why some people are rather excited about it. And you know what? Let me step aside and just take a moment here real quick for those of you that have been listening now. And obviously, I'm always appearing to be very bullish about gold and it going up and stuff. The potential increase in the price of gold or silver isn't the only reason to be interested in it. I mean, even if gold went down. I think you should have, and these are my opinions, not Acts Ministry or Acts Media, but I think you should have probably 10%, maybe more in your portfolio in precious metals for the way they behave in different rough patches for us, like recessions and things like that. And, so whether or not it's 1,500 or it's 800 or 17,000, I think that a person should have a portion of their assets in the gold and silver, and if it goes down, that's a great opportunity to buy more, and if it goes up, it's a great opportunity to trim a little off and keep your position at about 10% and go from there. But anyway, not trying to get into too much technical jargon and stuff. Let me see, what else did I want to update everybody on? Oh, how could I forget? We've got another chapter in the course on stewardship. I love this course, and this is the 9th lesson today. So there's only 10, so we'll have one more next week, and then we'll move on to something else in this genre.
Do you have anyone else you're going to call today?
No.
Go ahead and unplug that so we stop hearing that noise. There you go.
Okay.
Sorry,
No worries.
it only does that on Android devices.
Okay. So the title of today's lesson is The Source of Your Prosperity. And it says, the Bible is filled from cover to cover with the goodness of God. Our Heavenly Father is always giving, loving, and generous toward His children. In Genesis, He gives the man and woman a perfect Garden of Eden. In Revelation, we read about our ultimate home, a perfect and eternal heaven. In all the books in between, we read how God delighted in blessing his people. At the outset of the New Testament, we read how God sent his Son, Jesus Christ, as his ultimate gift of blessing to us. God is the source of all you need. He is the author of the whole life, eternal life, prosperity plan. The sovereignty of God over all material wealth is stated clearly in 1 Chronicles 29:12. Both riches and honor come from you, and you rule over all, and in your hand is power and might, and it lies in your hand to make great and to strengthen everyone. If we were to summarize David's statement in 3 short sentences, we might say, 1, the Lord is the owner of everything.
Amen.
2, the Lord gives generously to his people.
Thank him.
3, we do well to give him thanks and praise for what he has given us. Jesus certainly agreed with this when he taught his disciples to conclude their times of prayer by saying, "For yours is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen."
Amen.
Matthew 6:13. God owns everything, has all authority to dispense with it as he chooses, and it's worthy of all praise for what he does. And let it be so. David reflected about going up to the house of the Lord in Jerusalem. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May they prosper who love you. Peace be within your walls, prosperity within your palaces. Psalms 122, 6, 7. He gave us a prayer that we can pray for all Christians, a prayer that is totally in line with God's will for his people. The Bible is filled with verses that tell us of God's goodness, his inexhaustible resources, and his desire to make his people prosper. God's desire for you is prosperity, that you might have all that you need and the capacity to enjoy it. Psalms 34, 8 through 10. And I've enjoyed all these devotionals. The different books of the Bible that were just quoted were 1 Chronicles 29:12, Matthew 6:13, Psalms 122, 6 and 7, and Psalms 34, 8 through 10. And, I hope that helps somebody to, feel good about being prosperous as long as it's God's will. And other than that, I may have done all the updating and housekeeping that I can think of.
You can be prosperous without having a lot of money, too.
Sure you can.
Prosperity is, for me, prosperity is not judged on how much money you have. Prosperity, to me, I've got a roof over my head, I've got food in my stomach, I've got clean water to drink, a car, and a job. So,
Yeah.
in my opinion, I'm prosperous.
I had a weird, I had 2 weird revelations or epiphanies, however you want to spin these. One was, and this is going all the way back to, I want to say freshman year of college. I went to college for a couple years at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, and that's out in California. And I was waiting for the bus to pick us all up and take us to our student housing we were at, the Tropicana. And, it was an outdoor part of the student union. And this guy gets up, and he starts preaching to everybody. And, of course, everybody kind of looked at him and thought he was, nuts. And now, keep in mind, this would have been 1976, 77, somewhere back there. So there were still some people from the 60s wandering around and doing crazy things and stuff. But at one point, he said, how many people are Christians, or something like that, and nobody responded, including myself. We just thought we wrote him off as being a nut. And on the bus ride to the Tropicana, I had this moment where I was like, oh my God, I don't care how crazy someone appears. If they ask that question again, I'm going to raise my hand, because I don't want there ever to be a doubt of my my Christianity and stuff. So that was one of those little things I wanted to throw into this show and stuff. The other one was, over the years, you see all these tabloids with all these celebrities, and, they're making millions of dollars, and they're going on the fancy trips, and they've got all the exotic cars and all this kind of stuff. And I just had this day, this is going back a couple of years, where I thought, you know what? I bet when it's all said and done, I bet living a life of anonymity, of like Matt just described, got a job, he's got, clothes on his back, he's got food to eat. I mean,
Got God in my life.
got God in your life.
That's the most important thing that I need to stress to people. Without the Lord, there can be no real prosperity.
And that came up, remember last week's lesson, talked a little bit about that and stuff. But, I just think that at some point that may be what we find out was like heaven on earth. Because I got to think, next time you see Alec Baldwin's punched a reporter because he was trying to take a picture of his kids, or,
All the views and opinions expressed on this show are that of Tony Hammock and myself, not of Acts Ministry, Acts Media Group, or any of its subordinates.
Oh, my goodness.
Sorry. Just in case Alec Baldwin's watching us.
Yes,
Hey,
hi, Alec.
we love your work. We love your work. Stop punching reporters.
Yeah, I do love your work, although Drunk Parents was not one of your best movies. But
He's a pretty funny. Some of his stuff is pretty funny.
I would suppose that sometimes reporters need to be punished.
Yeah, they egg people on. So, reporter that got punched, stop irritating celebrities.
Children have a
Everybody learns a lesson here.
celebrities' children don't.
God is sovereign and awesome and wants what's best for us. Let's see, Alec Baldwin, stop hitting people, and reporters, stop pestering people. Problem solved. That's world peace right there.
There you go.
We just solved
we're on the right track.
world peace right here on Tony Hammock's show, The New Gold Standard.
Oh, shoot.
You were here for it, folks.
Yeah.
Where were you in that moment?
Well, and so before we run out of time completely, a couple thoughts I just had. One is, remember last week I had Ryan Long on from National Gold Consultants, and Ryan's going to be in town on October 10th, which is a Thursday. And I think that is, 2 weeks from tomorrow. And we're going to have Ryan do 2 presentations over at Prima's in Chesterfield. So if you want a spot, holler at me, 417-755-0700, or shoot me an email at tony@thegoldaffiliate.com, or holler at Matt or Jay or Jim or somebody. But he's going to do 2 presentations. These are gold and silver workshops. And this man is, he was born in the gold and silver business. His dad had the business for 30-some years. And then Ryan just here last 4 years ago, I think it was, bought the business from his dad because his dad was retiring and stuff like that. So that is October 10th
What an amazing thing
at noon and 5.
for a father selling, basically turning his business over to his son.
I know.
That's got to be an amazing moment in that father's life.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Well, it's got to be a lot of reinforcement for what the father chose to do, all those years before, and just a lot of credibility as far as, continuing on to the next generation and stuff. I mean, they've got a wonderful reputation and business up there in Monticello, Minnesota. And I talked to Ryan yesterday. I was like, now, are you going to fly into Springfield or into Tulsa, or, what do you... And he was like, no, I think I'm going to drive it. I said, okay. Well, I've made that drive before.
I was just thinking flying. I just imagine somebody flapping their arms really fast.
I just flew in from Chicago. I'm
Boy,
really
my
tired.
arm's tired.
But anyway, that's October 10th. That's coming up. And what else did I just think of that was right around the corner? Next week's show, I believe, will be October 2nd. Yeah, October 2nd. Right now on the schedule is Brad Gibson. Brad, and he may be here in person. Brad is a young man I met last year, and a very impressive young man, and he works a lot with veterans. With the open enrollment period coming up here pretty quick, October 15th through December 7th, I believe it is, we're going to be talking a little bit about the open enrollment, Medicare supplements, Advantage plans, things like that. So we'll keep with the theme of this being a show discussing money and hopefully helping people maintain a good level of dignity, like we talked about with Sharon, through their older years and stuff. And that should be Brad Gibson next week on that show. And I look at the clock. How much time we got?
We're out of time.
We're out of time. Thank you, folks. It's been another great show. I enjoyed it. We'll see you next week.
Love the energy there. Love the energy there. So yeah, thanks for being on here every week, Tony. I personally appreciate it. As a producer, it's nice to have somebody always nice to have somebody that's going to be there and that you can count on. And thank you to Jay back behind the camera there.
Yes, thank you, Jay.
Operating our YouTube live channel. If you have anything that you want to say, you want to speak to Tony about, get a hold of us on Facebook or on YouTube. Be sure and like and subscribe our YouTube channel, as well as follow us on Axe Media Group's Facebook page. So until then, everybody, we'll talk to you later. Thanks for coming by.
Thanks,
See
guys.
ya. Jay, you want to cut us out of YouTube there? Thank you.